this public meeting. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I extend that respect to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here this evening. It is my prayer that as elected representatives, we speak respectfully and consider the needs of all current and future residents, as well as the impacts on the environment in which we live. Tonight, I would appreciate it if everyone present in this room allow us to make decisions free of interjections so that we can make the best possible decisions for the community. In particular, I would like to call out a few rules. First, we will have one person speaking at a time. Secondly, the public has the right to attend this meeting as an observer. Third, as per clause 5.31 of the Code of Meeting Practice, this council meeting is being recorded and it is being made available live via the council website. For councillors participating in this meeting, I would also ask them under clause 5.30 to refrain from making potentially defamatory statements. 4. Clause 2.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice outlines the principle for all meeting attendees to treat each other with respect and to behave in a way that contributes to the orderly conduct of the meeting. In particular, for councillors, this means that their speeches and questions should remain on topic and genuinely focused on exploring the issues at hand, rather than on casting other councillors or members of the public in bad light. Number 5, if any councillor would like to raise a point of order as per clause 15.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice, I ask that they turn on their mic and say point of order. I will then pause the timer and allow the councillor to raise their concern before I rule on whether it is a valid point of order. Point 6. Council may close part of the meeting to deal with certain confidential matters in accordance with Section 10A of the Local Government Act. These discussions will not be open to the public or the press and will not be webcast. Now we have apologies. Are there any apologies for councillors? Deputy Mayor Kay.
I have an apology for Councillor Greg Taylor. He's away at the moment in an area that has no internet access.
Okay, so I seek a motion to accept these apologies and grant a leave of absence. Any?
I'm
moved
happy
by
to move.
Deputy Mayor Kay, seconded by Councillor Spencer. All those in favour? That is Councillors Deputy Mayor Kay, Spencer, Lennon, Smith, Wheatley, Alec Taylor, Councillor Ward, Councillor Nye. Against is Councillor Pettet. So I declare that carried. Apologies by staff. Are there any apologies for staff?
Mr. Mayor, the Director Strategy and Environment is on leave, and in his place is the Manager Urban and Heritage Planning, Anthony Fabro.
Okay, thank you. Now, declarations of interest. Are there any conflict of interest declarations for councillors on this matter? No? We'll move on. Are there any conflict of interest declarations for staff?
Mr. Mayor, there are not any declarations from staff.
Are there any documents circulated in the councillors' papers to be dealt with at the appropriate time during the meeting?
There are not, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any reports to be considered in a closed meeting and not released to the press and the public?
There are not any, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, now we are up to the notices of motion. There is one, which is NM1. I seek a mover, and that is Councillor Spencer.
Yes. So the staff has a copy of the motion. So it's a rescission motion. Yeah. Second.
Any seconders for this rescission motion? Seconded by Deputy Mayor Kay. Let's look at this motion. Is it this thing on the screen?
Would you like me to read?
Yeah, sure.
You guys ready? I'll just read. So that the decision of Council on 12 December 2023 in relation to items actually, GB 11, Northern Suburbs Football Association dash section 4.55 modification to DA 0484/21 and GB 14 NSFA Sports Grant dash request for owner's consent be rescinded. So I foreshadow that if the motion is successful, I will move that Council defer consideration of owner's consent for the section 4.55 modification to DA 0484/21 and the NSFA Sports Grant application until an independent review into proposed visitor numbers is undertaken and reported back to Council. This review is to be commissioned by Council at the expense of the applicant.
So that's seconded by Deputy Mayor Kay. So Councillor Spencer, you may now speak on the matter.
Right, so Mr. Mayor, as some of you may be aware or maybe not, the community has taken a lot of trouble and time to obtain some of the documents which are now available to a number of councillors. Essentially, I'm not talking about the documents, I'm just talking about the number of visitors in the original DA, which they seek to amend or modify today. The number of visitors were based on 2021 numbers. And the traffic study that was done at the time was in June 2020, I'm sorry, is it 22? I think it's 22. Yes, thank you, it's 22. So now that was during, not 2021, so they're 2022. Now that is during COVID lockdown, and you will observe that the numbers that were provided to the KLPP for that DA was about 172,000 visitors. That includes players and all those, a year per annum for all three fields. And NSFA has consistently said that there will be no increase. However, in their application for the multi-sports grant on the second occasion, so that will be their third application. So the first application for the grant, it was for Wider Sydney something, I can't remember the name. I can pull it out later on, but it's not important what it was. But the first application was about 172,000 visitors a year, and that grant was refused. And then the second one was the female change room facility, and that was has been rescinded. That was the numbers that NSFA provided. Now these are all evidence provided by NSFA themselves. Was about 220 something thousand visitors. So that's a 50,000 visitors jump in 1 year. And then subsequently in the final one, which brings us to today, that they're looking for an owner's consent for, and that was for 2023. So you have 2021-22, and then another one is 2022-23. Okay, so just to sum it up, 2021 to 22, that season, the numbers were 172,000, and that's when the DA was approved for, and traffic study was conducted, and that was during COVID. And then for 22-23, the numbers were about 220,000, I can give you the specific numbers in a minute. However, there is no numbers done for 23-24 season. So, well, we have this situation here where NSFA had consistently said they had owner's consent, and turns out that they didn't. So the community is a little bit concerned as to whether there's going to be intensification or not, and if yes, how many? And we believe that the duty is upon us, this council, before we lease the place to them, to determine for ourselves what is the current number. Again, the original number was 172,000, and that was the DA that which was based on. Thank you.
Seeking other speakers. You've got 30 seconds if you want.
Yeah. So, yeah. So essentially, I think it is important that a review is to be commissioned by council independently at the expense of the applicant. Why? Because we have not been given correct information and numbers for quite some time. And I think this is imperative. Thank you.
Councillor, well, Deputy Mayor Kay as seconder, would you like to speak?
I'm just going to reserve my right at this
Okay,
stage. Thank
sure.
you.
Are there any other speakers on this matter? If not, I would invite Councillor Spencer to sum up. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. So, just following on from what I said less than a minute ago, the DA traffic report was dated 12th July 2021. DA for NTRA usage was 2021 and 22. The DA statement of environment is found in their forms as well. So the first one, which is the grants, where the numbers were based on, was for what the grant is called Greater Cities and Regional Sport Facility Fund 2021-22 round 2, and that was refused. And at the time, annual visits were 78569, and the proposed increase was 31,979. These were all provided by NSFA. And then subsequently, in the following grant, the current one, Multi-Sport Community Facility Fund 2022-2023 round 2, the total annual visits were 171,132, and it was then changed to the proposed annual visits was 225,056. So that's an increase of 53,000. So if I take you back, originally they in 2021-22, they anticipated an increase of 31,900 something, but turns out there was an increase of 53,900 something. Now that was for the year 22 and 23. So now we're in year, because if we grant this thing now, then we'll be basing on the numbers that were incorrect. It'll be from the year 21 and 22. And I believe that we should commission a review of the numbers to get a more accurate figure for 23-24. Thank you.
Let's now put this to a vote. All those in support of rescinding GB 11 and GB 14, please raise your hands. And that is Deputy Mayor Kay and Councillor Spencer. Those against the rescission are Councillors Pettet, Lennon, Smith, Wheatley, Councillor Alec Taylor, Councillor Ward, and Councillor Nye. Given that it's 2 verse 7, the rescission does not proceed. It is defeated. Now, there being no further business, I would like to thank councillors and staff. I would also like to thank members of the public for their attendance. The webcast of this meeting will be available on the council website, and minutes will be published within the next 2 working days. I declare the meeting closed at 6:16 p.m.